Realme's GT series is finally back. Now, if you remember, the Realme GT Neo 3 was one of my favorite smartphones, and it was later relaunched as the Realme GT Neo 3T, and it was a very good smartphone for its price. And now the legacy continues with the Realme GT 6T. Now, I don't have the exact pricing of this phone yet, but I am expecting its MRP to be somewhere between 25 to 30,000 rupees for its base 8128GB variant. And for that price, this phone offers a lot of features like an LTPO display, Gorilla Glass Victus 2 protection, really good camera setup, and the powerful Snapdragon 7 Plus Gen 3 chipset, and a lot of other features which I will tell you in the due course of this review. But first, let's unbox this device. Okay, so here we have the phone. Let's quickly unbox it. SIM ejector, a cover, paperwork, and then we have the phone itself. Here it is. We have a 120-watt adapter, and then we have the Type-C cable, and that is all for the unboxing. By the way, you can get this phone in two color options. There is this silver one, which I have, and then you can also get it in a green color option. And here you have this mirror sort of reflecting surface as well. It's a dual tone finish. You can actually see your face if you would like to, multi-purpose, and you can even build a sheesh mahal out of it if you buy 1,000 of these phones. Anyway, the design here is nothing extraordinary. As you can see, you get a pretty big camera module and, as I said earlier, a dual tone finish. Actually, if I think about it, this phone looks very similar to the Poco F6. Plus, the back as well as the frames here is made of plastic, and one thing I don't like is the fact that it catches a lot of fingerprints and smudges. Maybe they could have given an eco leather back finish like we get on the Realme 12 series, so that I didn't have to make someone sit down here and pass me a packet of tissues. What I recommend you do is put this cover on, which you get inside the box. But even though this phone has a plastic build, the overall heft here is surprisingly good. And if I have to compare it against the Poco F6, this phone feels more premium in the hands. Plus, the back and the front display are also curved here, so it provides a very nice grip. And up front too, Realme has provided Gorilla Glass Victus 2 protection, and I think it's the most affordable phone to have such robust display protection, especially in this price range. Over onto the front, the Realme GT 6T also has the best display quality you can find on a mid-range phone right now. This display actually is very similar to the OnePlus 12R. It's a 6.78 inches LTPO panel. It has 12-bit color depth. It can go up to 1600 nits in high brightness mode, and it has a whopping 6000 nits of HDR peak brightness. And the color calibration out of the box is fantastic, so you will enjoy watching series and movies a lot here. But there's something you should know. As of now, Netflix does not support HDR video playback on this phone, but it should be updated very soon. There is HDR playback support on YouTube here though. And the display specs don't end there, because there are a lot of other things as well. You also get high frequency 2160Hz PWM dimming here, so you shouldn't be seeing flickering at low brightness settings. Plus, it also has TÜV certification to minimize harmful blue light emissions and flicker as well. And also, the touch response here is very, very good. So whether I'm scrolling through web pages or playing games in it, this phone feels very responsive. Okay, inside the display settings, you can choose 3 refresh rate options, and while using it in auto select, the refresh rate is actually quite optimized. Navigating through the UI runs at 120Hz, watching videos switches to 60Hz, and apps like Chrome, Instagram, etc. run at 90Hz. However, even though this is an LTPO panel, I did not quite catch it going as low as 1Hz as Realme claimed in their review guidelines. And you get some AI features embedded into this display. For instance, there is this AI eye comfort mode, which detects eye fatigue with AI and adjusts the color temperature accordingly. And at the same time, interacting with this display is quite a pleasant experience as well. Realme has done a nice job by including a flagship grade X-axis vibration motor here. It is as good as ones you get with the OnePlus 12 and the OnePlus 12R. Here you can even change the intensity of haptics as you like and get the feedback feedback while navigating in the multitasking bar as well. This is something that's very super neat. It's a quality of life improvement in my opinion. Another thing that I love here are the speakers. It's definitely much better than typical mid-range phones you get in this price range. It's loud, it has some bass, and the trebles sound very good here. And while I'm talking about the experience, Realme has also upped its software game with the GT60. It's currently running on Android 14 and the company has promised 3 years of OS and 4 years of quarterly security patches. Plus, there actually is very less bloatware this time, lesser than the POCO F6, and most of them can either be disabled or uninstalled, so that is great as well. Okay, as for the performance, you get the Snapdragon 7 Plus Gen 3 chipset here, which actually has a very similar CPU architecture to the 8S Gen 3 that we get on the POCO F6, but the GPU on the 7 Plus Gen 3 is slightly less powerful than the 8S Gen 3 and you get slightly slower X63 modem here. But technicality aside, the 7 Plus Gen 3 is a very good chipset. Everything here runs as fast as some of the flagship phones out there. The multitasking experience is superbly fast, the app opening is fast, there's no sign of jitters or anything like that, so the performance here is solid. Actually, the difference between a mid-range phone and a flagship phone is getting quite narrower, so you don't have to spend $1,000 or a lakh to get a flagship grade performance, and this phone and also the POCO F6 are the prime examples of that. By the way, the memory type here is LPDDR5X RAM and it has UFS 4.0 storage. Realme also claims that they have included a pretty big 10,000mm square stainless steel vapor chamber here, but in my regular usage, the phone was getting slightly hot, especially when I was on mobile data. Now, talking of gaming, in PUBG Mobile, I was getting very stable gameplay, stable 60 FPS, and the temperature did not exceed 40 degrees either. Even in Genshin Impact, in medium graphics and 60 FPS setting, the average FPS I was getting was around 59 FPS, and there was no dip in the FPS as you can see from this chart. But since I was playing in the GT mode that prioritizes maximum performance, the temperatures were slightly higher. However, what I found out is that unlike the POCO F6, you cannot enjoy any of the games in high 90 or 120 FPS here, not even low-end games like Mobile Legends. It seems like Realme has sworn not to give gamers that option. But overall, this is a very fast phone and you can enjoy games with good stability in almost all the titles here. Although I have to tell you that you will get slightly better stability and smoothness with the iQOO Neo 9 Pro or the POCO F6 for that matter. Another aspect that I really like about the GT60 is its battery endurance. Just like on the latest OnePlus phones, it comes with two 2750 mAh cells, meaning a total of 5500 mAh battery, and I was easily getting like 6 to 7 hours of screen on time even on heavy usage. So it's safe to say that this phone will last you for a full day without breaking a sweat. And with the 120-watt charger that comes inside the box, it can take the phone from 0 to 60% in just 15 minutes and 100% in half an hour. Okay, so far everything I've talked about the Realme GT60 is near A+, be it the robust build, display, speakers, or the performance. But how's the cameras? Actually, I would give it a 7 out of 10. It has a 50-megapixel primary camera with OIS and an 8-megapixel ultra-wide-angle sensor. And the camera performance, as she said, is satisfactory. I have also been comparing the POCO F6 side by side and I can instantly say that Realme is better. But I will talk about all of this in a separate detailed comparison video, so stay tuned for that. For now, if you look at the samples I took from the Realme GT60, you will notice that it has very nice sharpness in photos. The pictures are slightly oversaturated, but looks good in certain conditions, so I will not complain much. But I have to tell you that the dynamic range here is maintained very well. Sometimes I found the whites to be very overbearing though. The camera just starts to overprocess images and during those times the images come out subpar, but other than that I have been pretty satisfied with the output. I especially like the portraits from it. It has a very nice skin tone and color reproduction, and you also get a 2x option which makes the subject focused better, but at the cost of details. But overall you can get some nice portraits from this phone. The 8-megapixel ultra-wide-angle images have very average details but does not look that bad. The color reproduction here is actually close to the primary camera, so I would call it above average. So how are the selfies then? Well, the selfies from this phone have very good colors and it is a bit smoothened, but it looks nice, so no complaints. However, I have to tell you that the nighttime performance in photos here is outstanding. I never felt the need to turn on night mode at all. Normal images have great exposure, great detailing, etc., and the highlight is preserved very well. As expected, the ultra-wide-angle nighttime images struggle to maintain proper details and highlights, but the primary images are just lit. Now, videos from the back camera here were something I expected the GT60 to do well, both in the 4K 30 and 60 FPS, but at this resolution, it does not have the best of stabilization. You will notice slight jitters and wobbles when I am shooting videos while vlogging or panning, and the video quality and sharpness is not exactly great. And the same is with the ultra-wide-angle camera as well. You can record only up to 1080p 30 FPS, and the details are not good, and most importantly, the dynamic range is quite bad. From the front, you get an option to shoot at 4K 30 FPS, and the field of view is quite wide as well, and at the same time the skin tone and everything looks good on subject's face, so I am pretty satisfied with the selfie videos from the Realme GT60. So overall, the Realme GT60 is an excellent effort from the company to dominate the mid-range price segment, and it's a definite step up from the Realme 12 Pro and the Realme 12 Pro Plus, which I think were pretty average offerings. I think this phone truly does make the 30,000 price segment interesting again, and also with this phone you're getting as good of an experience as the OnePlus 12R at a much cheaper price. In fact, I would like to call it the OnePlus 12R Lite. Plus, what I like about Realme phones is that they do push a few updates to improve the cameras as well. Same thing happened with the Realme 12 Pro and Pro Plus, where after 2 to 3 updates, the cameras performed much better. So hopefully, Realme optimizes the cameras a little bit here. But still, ignoring that, this is a great phone for the price. So everybody, that was all for my full review of the all-new Realme GT60. I will also be coming up with a separate comparison video of this phone with the Poco F6. So if you don't want to miss that, don't forget to subscribe to our channel, and while you're there, don't forget to hit that notifications bell. Saying this, I'm Pratima Adhikari, and I will be back very soon.